Sashenka, hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I know you and I have been talking about this for like ever.
Yes.
And I loved your idea, how we want to bring this to our community because, you know, you and I worked so closely together and you have such a huge followers that we want to make sure everybody hears what we have to say and hopefully resonate and hopefully, you know,
Yes. So
take initiative.
So this definitely caught my eye for the viewers. So this is our very first guest on What Do You Bring to the Table? We have an incredible community. We have so many amazing business owners. And with the internet, the age of the internet, I feel like a lot of people cannot really, there's just too much information out there today. And
not all of it is accurate.
Exactly. Not all of it is accurate. So just to give a little context for our audience, this actually just happened by chance, which is like the best and most beautiful way. I'm very spontaneous. I like organic.
Yeah, so if my hair is not done, it's all her fault.
Yeah. And I inquired personally myself to you. So even though you do real estate.
Yeah, so let me just do a little bit of an introduction.
So do an introduction and I will tell how we met. How
you and I, yes. Well, first, I'm a huge fan.
Oh,
so you make me laugh every time. Thank you for that. And in addition to you wear a lot of hats. So all my realtors out there, you guys know we always wear a lot of hats. We're not just a real estate person who's going to find somebody their home or for the seller to get their top dollar or, we do pretty much everything. And I always often think, what else can I do? How else can I be different? What else can I give our clients? What else are they looking for? And especially with what happened with COVID, what happened with October 7th, with just seeing our loved ones not being protected, it was very close to me. Like, what else can we do? Mm-hmm. So in addition to my busy life as a mom and as a real estate professional, which I absolutely love, I started to think of protection. I don't think we talk enough about it. I don't think there's a lot of information. There is a lot of information, and I don't think we really know what's out there. So for the audience out there, think about it. If, God forbid, you have a plan B, accidental death or premature death, or if, I don't know, something happens where your life turns upside down, life has plans on its own. I mean, I personally know it.
Of course.
What do you do? What do you do on plan B? How do you protect your family? From the real estate point of view, I just sold your house. This is your biggest asset. How are you going to protect it? Mm-hmm. So there's so many ways of doing it. One of it, and this is why you and I are here, and this is why you and I had the chat earlier, it's protection. It's protecting your loved ones. It's protecting your assets. A life insurance policy right now has so many ways of protecting you and your family while you're alive. Now, if you asked me this 14 years ago, I have life insurance. My children will be fine when I die. The more and more I learn about this, the more I realize there's so many features here to help you now while you're alive. And again, I'm more than happy to meet with somebody privately. Everything we discuss is super confidential. I don't really care if you make very little money or a lot of money. I feel like protection is protection. I just want to make sure people know that this is not the only way of savings or protection. It's one of the ways. And there's few ways. You have term insurance, you have a whole life insurance policy.
So let me ask you, for somebody that isn't, they weren't into prevention before or they didn't know any better. So someone like me and my husband probably talked about this when we first got married, just simply because my brother-in-law is very into it. Shout out to AlexandraBabekov. And I know you worked with him, right? He's a real estate photographer, but
yes, he does all my listings.
So yeah, and my husband told me, he's like, yeah, Steven's like really on top of that kind of stuff. He's done this for every kid, even when they were born. And I was like to him, we should totally do this, but life got in the way. We kept on saying that, we can do something else with this money. We were young homeowners, so we lived in our house already. We live in our house already for a little while. And just for me personally, like this, 15 years passed, I'm married, my kids are growing, and, when me and you had that conversation, I came to you pretty much in despair and hopelessness of like, I think it's too late for me, Sasha. Like, is there any point to this? And you were the one that really opened my eyes and said, absolutely, there is no such thing as too late. You're still very young, but you are on the cusp of like, it's going to be too late, because I wanted you to get into that of, when is the best time to get into it? Is it too late to get into it for someone like me? Would it make sense for someone like my mom's age to get it? Is it even possible for her to get it? This is what I really want you to answer, because even me, I'm a nurse. I consider myself very well educated. I read a lot. I have no idea how insurance policies work. I'm always afraid of being scammed. I'm one of those people, if I get an unknown number, I am already cursing that person out when I pick up. I'm like, you're not going to scam me. And it's really not someone scamming me, but it's because we live in this age of scamming that I'm like just terrified to sign up on a policy or give my money somewhere that when I am going to need it, they're going to tell me, they're going to show me the fine print and say, oh, you can only use it for this provision, or you can only use it when your husband loses both legs. He only lost one leg. You know what I mean? God forbid. Sorry, Dima. You're gonna be my scapegoat here. But it's the reality is that something always kind of climbs out of the woodwork, and I've always been kind of terrified, hence skeptical of taking that step forward of like, I don't know if I want to do this, потому что я не хочу, чтобы, извини за выражение, like for someone to screw me over. So talking to you really calmed me down on a lot of things, because you actually broke it down. I want to, give you a shout out too, because that's why I invited her here. You are able to explain this. Some people really just aren't as passionate. I believe passion serves business a lot more. When you know about something or when you love it, you will be able to be that much greater at it. And if you love something, you never work a day in your life. So when I was talking to you, you seemed to appease every question that I had. So I wanted to start there. I wanted to ask you, when does it make sense the most to get it, and when is it considered too late?
Right. Listen, you brought up a lot of things, and all great points. When we think about insurance, we think fraud. Everything lately has been, oh, I tripped, let me sue you.
Exactly.
Everything right now is upside down. So I am so passionate with the whole protection point of view, because we were like, it's not going to happen to me. It's not going to happen to me. I'm 45 now, and unfortunately, I have
You're
a lot
lying.
of. I know
you are lying.
Oh, no, it's the Botox and.
No, you look great.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
People think it's not going to happen to them, and it does. And I wish nothing happens to people that we love and we care. But what kind of person am I going to sit here with you and not talk to you about what I do? And God forbid something happens. We know way too many families who lost their loved ones. Your podcast recently had proven with COVID, things happen overnight. October 7th happened overnight. People die, unfortunately, by just leaving their house and getting to either car accidents or stuff like this. So protection is there for everyone. Obviously, we want to know how healthy you are or not, and that's something we can, take it offline. We need to make sure you know exactly what is offered. So by 15, 20 minutes, just like you and I showed you the whole policy. I showed you what's included, what's not. And you're right. People have small prints and certain things. Yeah, you have to lose 2 legs in order to get paid. Or some companies do underwriting after the fact.
Yeah.
I'm not here to say anything bad about any companies. I am contracted with Guardian. Guardian is like Rolls-Royce of the life insurance. It is first-class service type of thing. Can you get something cheaper? Yes. I went through so many of my friends' policies, and I had circled. You have to look too. You have to lose 2 legs.
Yeah.
We don't know. We just assume things are there the way, you and I are discussing. But it's really not. So whenever I work with a client and I show him, look, I'm telling you, this is your policy, this is what you covered, this is what you need to do, it's all there black and white. And I make sure you highlight it, because I was you.
Yeah.
My son was born 14 years ago. I knew I needed a policy, but I didn't know how much I needed the policy. I wish somebody would sit there and say to me, how much do you make? Okay, this is what you need to do. The whole purpose of this is, if God forbid something happens to you, premature death, there's not enough money to replace your loved one, but at least you can replace their income. So when my dad died 17 years ago, my mom didn't even know what a checking account was.
100%. Yeah.
How, now she has to think where she's going to move, how she's going to support herself. My dad did have a life insurance policy, and it was with Guardian back then. I mean, the amount was much smaller, But he had his plan B in place. So
this is what prompted me, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but this is what prompted me to think about it for my family because my father passed away 9 years ago.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you. They do not have a life insurance policy, and it's very sad for me and difficult, to watch my mom kind of, not only she had to deal with the struggle of losing a husband, but now she was, and she, thank God, worked. She's an RN, she drives, she has a career, but she is now already retirement age, and she's not going to be able to retire just simply because of the matter of like, okay, but I need a steady income. Like you and your brothers can only do so much for me. I don't want to take your money either. She's very self-sufficient and it's great, but it made that time so much harder than it needed to be. And ever since then, really, I've been thinking about it. And like I told you, life gets in the way. We're also in New York. Things are very expensive. But finally, because like you said, since COVID, since October 7th, like how many more signs Hashem is going to give me? You need to think of your family. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. None of us know what's going to happen tomorrow. And people know what I do. I do political comedy, but I keep my foot on the ground. The comedy part is completely separate. But really, I'm really into the future of this world, preserving the Constitution. I really want to save the values that we have here. And what I see happening is nobody's prepared. Nobody's prepared in the event if we have, God forbid, an actually catastrophic like world event, like COVID, if that will happen again. And I'll bring back COVID again. Like my husband lost his business for a little while because of the BLM riots. They destroyed it. We had to start over. I'm very open and transparent about this conversation.
And
sorry,
I'm sure
Bodie, I'll replace that. Put it on my tab.
But it's hard.
It's hard. It's very hard. And I don't want to be in that position ever again. Yes, life happens. Yes, we overcame it. But I want my kids, it's not about comfort. I want peace of mind. I don't know what's going to happen to me or my husband tomorrow. And it's not even about something will happen to us. Inflation is getting out of control. Right now, thank God there's a stream of revenue here. There may be a stream of revenue here. I have a great job that's remote, but I don't know if my job is going to be replaced by a robot tomorrow. I don't know if social media is going to be forever. If my accounts get banned or deleted, that's it. That's the income that I get from that. That just goes away. So I've thought about all of these things and I said, okay, I need to have a plan for my children in the event that they will need to use something because there's another life event in 15, 20 years. And what have I learned so far? Like I'm only 35, but I also look at it as I'm already 35. And this is how quick life has already happened to me. So you told me something really interesting about the child policies is that you don't have to pay for them after a certain age.
18 years or 14 years, however you set up.
Yeah.
Right. We'll talk about the kids right now, but we'll get back to what you were saying.
No problem.
I didn't even know kids should have a life insurance policy now.
Me neither, yeah.
Because when you talk about life insurance, I'm thinking death.
Exactly.
Right away. But once I started to look more and more in the policy, so it is their wealth accumulative account. So everything that you put into their whole life insurance policy, it goes straight into their account. It grows interest. It grows dividends. It is tax deferred, and when you take the money out, it is tax-free. Mm-hmm. So just for that, it's great.
And what can you use it for? What are some examples?
Anything you want. We have a lot of
wedding.
People, and it could be anything. Mm-hmm. So hopefully they'll never have to use it for a bad day. So then they can use it for vacation. They can do it first time home. Anything you want.
So it's an investment. It's not like...
It's pretty much an investment.
It's not like regular insurance where I'm paying my medical insurance in case some shit happens, right? Because you don't get that money if nothing happens. It's just kind of like, well, here it is in case this happens, but you now keep it. On top of that, if something does happen, there's a deductible. So that is what I've always related when I think about insurance. That is why I kind of stayed away from the whole life insurance thing, because it's like, okay, so if nothing happens and I paid this $1 million policy, now what?
Well, we're talking about like term, right?
Yes,
which is totally fine.
Of course.
Right. Again, insurance in reality has a bad rap. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I can more than ready to educate anyone who wants to give me a call, and I can sit down for a little bit and just kind of show them. I can show you my son's plan. I can show you my plan. I believe in the product where my whole family has it. And, again, for the kids, it's a valuable gift. So if you have a child who's 10 years old, he's healthy. That the way he's insured will always stay with him. Mm-hmm. So it's a whole life insurance policy. If your, let's say, in-laws want to send a gift, put it towards the policy.
Yeah.
It grows. He can take it at any time. And then when you're parents are no longer here, that's the cycle of life.
Of course.
And when they get older, look, this is what grandma, you also protecting your grandchildren.
Yes.
Because your kids are going to have a long and beautiful life. If everything is great, they will enjoy that money. If something doesn't go well,
they can use it.
They can use it. So even if you're not here, you're still there for your children.
That's incredible.
Now, a lot of people who make a lot of money here will say, oh my God, it's not for me. And maybe it's not. This is not for everybody.
Yeah.
But take a look at it and see how it really resonates with you or not. So for the kids, I strongly recommend because they're younger, it's inexpensive, 14 years it's paid off, and they get paid when they actually do, die, expire, I don't know how to say it. And then they build their cash value.
Yeah.
I have a very successful agent who does, I don't even know, he does very, very well for himself. So at our last meeting, he wrote a eulogy from one of his patients, one of his clients who was with him for over 30 years. He opened up the policy, and he was always telling him, once I retire, I'm going to go take this money and travel the world. Well, he got very, very sick. So he wrote his eulogy before he died.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And he wrote a biggest thank you to this agent who always didn't give up. 30 years ago, people didn't really talk about life insurance like this.
Yeah.
And he was like, I wanted to take this money.
It was like for rich people only, honestly.
Right.
Yeah.
He wanted to take all this money and travel with his wife. But instead, that particular whole life insurance money savings was able to pay for all of his medical bills. And then when he died, the wife still got a big, settlement where she didn't feel that his salary was gone.
Yeah.
Now, again, I'm going to say it again because losing my dad, my friends lost their loved ones unexpectedly. It's never going to be a replacement.
Of course not.
But knowing that you don't have to move out of your house, knowing that your kids can still have the same lifestyle, it is worth of just educating yourself and getting more information. People who already have life insurance policy, I am more than welcome. Like I can look and review it.
Yeah.
And just see, because sometimes you think like I have a whole life policy and it's something else. It's like universal. And we take a look at it. And if you got this policy 10 years ago, do you have the right amount? How do you know if you have the right amount? So things changes. You have more children, let's say, or businesses doing better. You want to make sure everything gets updated right away.
What's the process if, a life event happens where either, God forbid, we won't say someone expired, but let's say you get divorced.
Right.
And your husband was the beneficiary or whatever, are you able to adjust at any time if there's any issues, additional child was born, like that's all adjustable?
You can adjust this at any time.
I ask because I had a lot of inquiries from single parents, especially single moms.
You can always change it.
Okay.
I have people who put all of their children. I have people putting just the spouse. Beneficiary, you can always change. Any little thing that you have questions with, you have the top producers that work for you. And if I may not have the answers, I will get it for you.
And it's Guardian that does the customer service? Like you can call them anytime, correct?
Yes. Well, you call me as your agent, and
Okay.
I will have it handled. I have a lot of my friends who are looking into this now, a lot of my friends who did get the policies. And you know what? When I go out with them, and if they're doing something, I'm like, they're good.
Yeah.
Like if God forbid something happens, they're protected. Their family's protected.
I also want to, bring up that our parents came here pretty much in survival mode. There was no creating generational wealth. Sorry, I went to Russian for a second. When we came here,
Beep, beep.
for the most part, everybody here was just trying to survive. It was all about putting food on the table. A lot of people started off on food stamps, nothing wrong with that, Medicaid, Medicare. When we came here, it wasn't about generational wealth. Unfortunately, it was about survival. I think I want to say now, 30 years down the line, I was 4 when we came here. I'm now 35. So our parents came here. Now we have kids of our own. Thank God. We really, our community is very strong and powerful. I'm very proud of us. I believe that it's beautiful how a bunch of immigrant kids, I'm not first generation. My kids are first generation, as are yours.
As mine, yes.
So we're a bunch of immigrant kids that freaking took over, especially in New York. I'm so proud of even Diamond District took over. The hair industry took over. Attorneys, forget it. Like
nurses and doctors.
Yes, the medical industry. When I went to Queens College, I remember the boys absolutely killed the dentistry programs. They set the precedent at NYU. And I say this with a lot of pride. I'm just so proud of where we come from this community. And it is now time for us to build a good, segue for our children. Generational wealth. This is where it comes down to. When we were growing up, we see all these movies of like these rich, powerful, like white people with their estates and all these things. That didn't happen overnight. This is because their parents and their great-grandparents, they come from money.
They planned better.
But that's because they planned better. Thank you. You took the words out of my mouth.
They planned better.
Prevention is everything. So prevention is amazing when it comes to our health and when it comes to financial planning. Unfortunately, because we come from a time of like living really paycheck to paycheck, just trying to make ends meet, you have to squeeze here, you have to marry off the kids, the weddings cost a lot today. This is great, especially, I remember you really clicked for me when you told me about term and for the children and how you can use this. That's when I was like, get the hell out of here. Hold on. I could use this.
Yes,
I could use this for weddings because I'm going to need to. God willing, that will happen in the next 10 years. That's not that far away. If I can get that additional help, why wouldn't I want that? I didn't know that you can use insurance for children for other things. I just assumed that this is a waste of money. Like,
right. You only do it when you die. Right.
Exactly.
And it's exactly what you said. When our parents came here, it was a survival mode.
Yeah.
They didn't speak the English. They didn't have all this available. And I'm just going to say it out there. Shame on all of you who doesn't take the advantage of the system today.
Yeah.
And even before, when people were dying from drugs, everything was hidden.
Yes.
Oh, God forbid we can't say anything. Let's say it's this. Let's say it's that. Depression or drugs.
Just mental health in general. It's just very much ignored.
It's ignored, and people are embarrassed. You know what? We here in our community, we have to work with one another, and we have to make it better.
Agreed.
If you see me down, don't just pass by me. You give me your hand.
Yeah.
And this is me giving my hand to you guys. The knowledge is there. We want to tell this to everybody as possible. If it works with you, great. If it doesn't, tell somebody else that it may work with.
And if somebody already has an existing policy, you would be willing to look at any issues, explain it better.
Yes.
You showed me a few policies, and
I showed you the errors where,
yeah.
I had one person who was like, I have whole life insurance policy, and whole life and term is very different. I can get into it more in detail after. And how much do you pay? And he tells me how much he pays. I said, you don't have a whole life insurance policy. No, yes, I do. So bring me the policy. And we went over it. On the first page, it tells him what it really is and what it's really not. And then the thing is, they're smart people. They're very well financially off. So they felt like, wait, what the hell?
It's the verbiage sometimes.
It's the verbiage.
It's the verbiage.
So that's why, I kind of tell them, don't worry. Like, this is what I do. I want to make sure and then you'll make a decision.
You can fix existing policies, or would it be like a transfer to Guardian?
We'll see. It all depends. Yes, every case is different. But I will say this: if you are from ages 18 and 40, take your annual income and you need to multiply by 30. That's how much of your amount should be for your life insurance. If you are 40 to 50, it should really be times 20. If you're 50 to 60, it's times 15. 61, 65, it's just times 10. But it can be expensive, yes. But this is why we find ways of making it sure that you are protected.
And the younger you are, I mean, obviously this depends on what kind of policy you get, but the younger you are, it would be cheaper probably.
It's much cheaper.
Okay.
Yeah, it's much cheaper, and you have it for your whole lifetime.
Yeah.
There's something else I was going to tell you.
Can you give me an example of when you wouldn't qualify for life insurance?
If you have a lot of medical conditions,
So it would be ideal to do it earlier just for that reason alone.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now the great thing with COVID, if you are getting a policy that's $3 million or under, you don't have to do the urine and the blood work. So a lot of times they will go to your doctors and to your pharmacy to see what kind of medication you were taking, what really is wrong with you or not. And they do their due diligence before they give you a policy.
Of course.
Again, some companies are very different.
Yeah.
So they'll do it the other way around. So the whole main aspect is be protected.
So wait, I'm going to backtrack for a second. So COVID changed that? They no longer ask for blood work and for urine?
So right, because when there was COVID, you can't come to someone's house to get a blood work and urine because
that
we were
reason.
all right.
Got it. Okay.
And then it went so great, they said, let's just leave it alone.
Yeah.
Now, there's still going to be times where you may need it.
Of course.
But you have like the best person that works for you, so you're going to be fine. Again, our biggest message, and again, I thank you. I thank the studio. Like, you guys went above and beyond.
Well, I thank you for agreeing to come on, because I got so into it talking to you, and I was like, wait, people need to know about this, because I live in my own head. I have my own fantasy world, and I'm like, in my mind, it just came off of like, wait, I didn't know this. More people need to know about this. And like I told you, I shared with you privately. Prevention would have been ideal in my own family. I don't want to go through that. God forbid, like, even though I'm doing well for myself, but it doesn't matter. We're a team, husband and wife, and no matter what anyone's situation is, if one of you is lost, it's like losing a limb, God forbid. And we just need to be more prepared. If October 7th taught me anything with the way the world twisted like this on the world of Jews, is that we need to help each other, okay? Because it's looking way too much like Nazi Germany out there. And I'm very realistic with that. And I always tell people, how do you think Williamsburg got started out? Williamsburg got started out because they said, we don't want to have to get turned away. We don't want Jewish lawyers to be discriminated against. That is literally where we are right now. That is why people in Williamsburg, the Hasidic community, they were very smart. They said, we're going to have our own shmira. We're going to have our own buses. We're going to have our own police force, our own ambulances. Now, I'm not saying we should, as a community, segregate ourselves, but we need to stop competing and start helping each other and use each other's resources. Okay, for someone that does real estate, and the fact that we got into a conversation about life insurance, and I said, Sasha, I had no idea you even did this. I had no idea you even did that. And you're like, I wear a lot of hats. And I said, well, that's incredible. And
just as you are.
But sometimes you see, like, we don't know unless we ask.
Right.
And, me and you, let's be honest, we're very goal driven with, like Agon, we're everywhere, right? Sometimes we don't take the time to slow down. And I always think about somebody else. It's like, okay, but not everybody's like that. Not everybody knows. Some women are just sitting at home raising the kids. They have no idea. They don't know better. And some men are just going to work, just trying to feed a family of 5. They come home, like, they don't know better. It's not because they don't want to or they don't care about the safety of their family.
Absolutely.
It's just because life happens when you're trying to plan for it. And if my takeaway message, along with yours and Sasha's message, is do not wait for life to happen and then deal with the repercussions. Plan for it. Life is going to happen anyway, or at least attempt to plan for it. This gives you, some solace, some comfort in a very, very difficult already time. If we both lost a parent here, and I think we can both relate, it's life-changing. It's just everything changes after, absolutely. And it's much easier to try to prevent, a financial burden than instead of dealing with one with already grieving. Like, that's where mental health issues start. It's literally an avalanche that we can prevent.
Right. And I do have to say that a lot of people have a fear.
Yes.
Oh, so if I'm going to get life insurance now, like, it's real.
Yes.
Or if I'm going to have another protection, disability, anything, it's fear. A lot of people are afraid to pull the plug. But at the end of the day, you rather be protected versus like after the fact.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always say, like, protect your today before tomorrow comes.
Yeah. You sound like Kamala Harris.
Do the laugh. I cannot do the laugh.
No, she says, today is today, tomorrow is tomorrow. I'm kidding. Well, listen, Sashenka, I really, really loved having this conversation. I really appreciate you coming on here. This is the whole purpose of this, really. It's not, it's not a ploy to advertise anything. It's really to show our community how powerful we are, how strong we are. Knowledge is power, how working together would genuinely benefit everyone in their own family life, despite how different all of our family situations are, whether you have a nuclear family, whether there's somebody in your family that, is separated, broken family, somebody passed away. There is a policy out there for everyone. At the very least, I would implore people to inquire. Like you said, this is not for everybody. And I really appreciate that you didn't twist my arm. You answered all of my questions. I was very curious about it at first. And then when I came back to you, I said, I want to sit down with my husband. He would really benefit from learning about all of this.
But I also appreciate you being honest with me. You said, wait a minute, I thought it's this.
Yes.
And that's the thing. A lot of things, it's all in our head.
Yeah.
And it's not how it is. And even few people that I spoke to before, they're like, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I said, you didn't want to get on the phone with me for 3 weeks. All I'm telling you is just listen. And it may work for you or it may not. So you guys owe it to yourself to have a conversation with me. Did I give them my number or no?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We can link it on the bottom.
Okay, we're going to link it on the bottom. Okay.
But guys, Sasha Babekova, everyone, thank you so much for bringing this to our table.
Thank you. And thank you and Kaikov Media for giving me this opportunity. Guys, let's all help one another.
For the next guest on What Do You Bring to the Table, stay tuned.